you're with us, Kevin McCullough in New York. This was what the attorney for Bradley Manning said this morning on the Today Show on NBC.
As far as the hormone therapy, yes. I'm hoping Fort Leavenworth would do the right thing and provide that. If Fort Leavenworth does not, then I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that they are forced to do so.
Is the ultimate goal here for him, to be in a female population, a female prison?
No, I think the ultimate goal is to be comfortable in her skin and to be the person that she's never had an opportunity to be.
What the what? 888-589-8840. But he said it there at the beginning. What he's going to do is, if Fort Leavenworth doesn't, cough up the pay for the hormone therapy, he's going to do everything within his power. When a lawyer does that, what do they mean? What do they mean when a lawyer says, I'm going to do everything in my power? That's a lawsuit, baby. By the way, if you go to the AFA Today Facebook page, afatoday.com is the URL. It'll take you straight to the page. I have now linked this story, and it's right at the top. There's a picture of Bradley Manning in his blonde self, long-haired. I think he has lipstick on. I don't know. It's grainy black and white. But if you click through to the link on that, there's a phone number to the attorney David Coombs's office. David Coombs practices law out of Rhode Island, and there's an email address and there's a phone number by which you can contact his legal office and ask him, and do this politely, friends. I mean it. If you're not going to be polite about it, don't do it. But if you would call the office of David Coombs and say, please reconsider suing the American people for Bradley Manning's sex change operation, we would prefer you not to sue the American people. And if he says, why, say, because that makes me pay for it. And then whatever you want to say after that. I don't think I should be morally obligated to pay for it, et cetera, et cetera. But the phone number is on the afatoday.com page. If you would like to just write it down right now, I'll give it to you. It's 508-689-4616. 508-689-4616. By the way, they're not expecting these calls to come in. So my request for you to be kind is very important to be observed. If you're going to be nasty and mean, don't call. But I think that I think the attorney may be a good guy. We don't know anything about him. Ask him to consider what it is for the American people to be asked to pay for a sex change that we don't agree with. That shouldn't be traced to public money. If Bradley Manning can't come up with his own cash, then let his supporters and his fans pay for it. But don't sue the United States Army. Don't sue the taxpayers of the United States to pay for a sex change operation for a traitor, a convicted traitor. 888-589-8840. At least that's my take on it. If you disagree, I'll put you right to the front of the line, and I think that Hugh probably does, so let's talk to him in West Virginia. Hello, Hugh. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Kevin. And I'm sure you already know that I disagree with you.
That's what I was figuring. That's why I put you up first.
And the reason is that I don't think Bradley Manning is a traitor. I think he's a whistleblower, and he's a hero. And there's an online petition that already has...
Hugh, let me ask you this.
Wait,
let me ask you
finish.
this. But let me just, you made one point, and then you were moving on to the second one. I want to respond to the first point. You believe he's a hero and not a traitor. The 750,000 pages that he leaked, there's no possible way he knew everything that was in those 750,000 pages. Do you believe that getting a few things right but putting other things at risk is still being heroic?
Oh, but the news that came out later said that there was nothing put at risk. He put little, if anything, at risk. That he didn't divulge anything that wasn't already known.
Well, we know that wasn't true because there were videotapes and other things that were associated with those files that we would not have had knowledge of if he had not put that out there. But 750,000 pages worth, Hugh.
Well, I think that
it's heroic to leak 750,000 pages, even if you don't know what they are?
Possibly, because I think the federal government classifies much, much, much too much as as top secret.
So no matter the content of them, he's a hero because he leaked 750,000 pages of
American
private.
People have a right to know what the government.
He didn't
is
leak them
doing.
to us, Hugh. He put them on WikiLeaks.
And we read WikiLeaks.
That's not coming to the American people. The bold thing to do would have been to go to the
That's
American
not true.
media and say,
Anybody
I have
can-
things.
Anybody can get on WikiLeaks. I read WikiLeaks.
But what I'm saying is that he purposefully went, purposefully and provocatively went to an agent that is serving as an adjutant to the United States and to the welfare of the United States.
It was never an adjutant to the United States. It was just
Okay,
public
that's your
interest.
opinion. I believe differently. So
Well,
what was your second point?
you're
First, you
wrong.
believe as a hero. Secondly, why should we pay for a sex change? Why should you and I pay for a sex change surgery?
Well, that's a new wrinkle. I didn't hear anything about any sex change till today. But in general, I'd rather my tax money pay for his sex change operation than I would pay for the silly, unconstitutional, blatantly unconstitutional faith-based initiative.
I wasn't in favor of faith-based initiatives when President Bush put them in.
Well,
So you and I are on the same track there. And now they're being abused. Now they're being used to abuse most faith-based people in the country. So I'm with you on that.
Well,
But why should I be obligated if I have a moral objection to gender reassignment? Why should my tax dollars be used to pay for his surgery or for his hormone treatment?
I have a moral objection to war, but I don't get to say my tax money won't pay for George Bush's ridiculous.
Demonstrably, war is used in defense of our welfare.
That's
So
not true.
that's
The Iraq War was not in defense of our welfare. The Iraq War.
you're still on Iraq.
The Iraq
Okay.
War was a masturbatory.
All right. So you think you want him then to sue the American taxpayers to pay for Bradley Manning's switch from Bradley to Cheryl?
If
Chelsea,
the
whatever her name is.
government doesn't do what's right, he has a right to sue.
You believe that we're obligated to pay for that?
I don't know what the regulations say.
Okay. But you have an opinion about it. Do you think that I should be forced to pay for his surgery?
He has a right to sue. Whether he wins or not is another
Hugh,
case.
do I have an obligation to pay for his surgery?
I don't know.
You're absconding
do
the
I
question.
have an obligation to pay for war?
Yeah, because the national defense is part of something, and I don't agree with all the wars we've been involved in, but I didn't say my taxes shouldn't go to them when we were bombing aspirin factories under Clinton. The truth is, national defense is a constitutionally embedded argument for how the federal treasury should be spent. Paying for someone's personal sexual desires is not.
Money goes to war. Then
It's
it
not the
can
same
also
thing.
go to
It's
his
not the
sex
same thing,
change
Hugh, and you
operation.
know it's not.
Well, if that happens, then I'm cool with it.
Okay,
And if
because
he-
you're
and if
you're
he-
a man who practices homosexuality.
And if he wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses. But anybody has a right.
So
to
in your
sue.
mind, there's no right or wrong in the matter. I can be forced to pay for that if a lawyer makes the sneaky enough argument to convince somebody.
Well,
There's
the
no
government-
absolute right or wrong in your mind.
The government would
Answer my question.
would pay for. Yes.
Is there an absolute right or wrong in your mind? Is it moral for me to be forced to do something that violates my conscience?
No such thing as an absolute right or wrong.
Ah, there we go. Thank you, Hugh. I knew I was leading you to water. I just was waiting for you to take that drink. And that, my friend, is the fundamental difference in 97% of Americans. There are some of us that do believe, the majority of us, the overwhelming majority of us do believe that there are absolutes. There are moral absolutes. And one of those commonly ascribed to amongst the American population is that you should not force another person to be directly involved in an act that torments their conscience, that takes their conscience and says, you know that it's wrong to do this, but do it anyway. And it takes morally confused people to look at that and to say it's okay to force someone to do something that they know is in Christian terms dishonoring to God, disobedient to God. Hugh would never use that term. He doesn't believe in God. He's called him very insulting names. the pixie in the sky and other stuff that he sometimes refers to. But the point being, I still believe, whether you believe God exists or not, I still believe there's a conscience alive inside of every person. And so if you're a sexually confused person, if you believe there are no moral absolutes, if you do believe it doesn't matter what anybody says, it's your word against my word, against the pixie in the sky's word, against the tree down the street's word, against my pet rabbit's word, then you are going to live a very confused life. I believe there are rights and there are wrongs. I believe there's a difference in good and evil. I believe there's a difference in moral and immoral. And when you force me to participate in the immoral, if I choose to participate in the immoral on my own accord, then I don't have anything to complain about. If I willfully say, I'm going to go jump into this sin, this batch of stuff that I know is wrong, then whatever happens, happens. It's my own choosing. When you drag me into that by forcing me to participate in it, now you're doing something that violates me spiritually. Now you're taking my conscience and you're searing it. Now you're doing something that actually puts me in jeopardy in terms of a spiritual sense before God, because that's part of the sin that the cross covers. The sins that we are forced to participate in, we don't. That's part of why we still need redemption, even if we think we've walked around and done absolutely nothing wrong my whole life, and that God deserves to take me to heaven just because of how cool I am. We've still participated in sin on a level that we can't even always even account for. But this would be one of those times. All of us will share in the culpability of participating in that sex change surgery if that attorney decides that he's going to sue and make the American people participate in this. Which is why what I'm asking you to do is to kindly ask Mr. David Coombs not to pursue that. 508-689-4616. 508-689-4616 is the phone number to his law office. And I'm going to expressly ask you to be kind when you call. 508-689-4616. Bradley Manning is now being referred to in the media as Chelsea Manning, wants to be referred to as a she, once as a traitor who gave up 750,000 documents indiscriminately to the least discreet people on the internet, then got caught, then was found guilty of betraying his country, and now in a letter to the public has said, please don't refer to, in fact, I'll read you the body of the letter. Subject, the next stage of my life. I want to thank everybody who has supported me over the last 3 years. Throughout this long ordeal, your letters of support and encouragement have helped keep me strong. I am forever indebted to those who wrote to me, made a donation to my defense fund, came to watch a portion of the trial. I would especially like to thank Courage to Resist and the Bradley Manning Support Network for their tireless efforts, blah, 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 blah. Okay, next. As I transition into this next phase of life, I want everyone to know the real me. I am Chelsea Manning. I am a female, given the way that I feel and have felt since childhood. It's all about what I feel. It's not about what is. It's not about what is. You snip the hair off of Bradley Manning and you put it under the microscope and you look at the DNA attached to it. It is marked male forever. Doesn't matter how many hormones you pump into the body. It's never going to change. So it doesn't matter what is. It's how I have felt since childhood. I want to begin hormone therapy as soon as possible. I hope that you will support me in this. I also request that starting today you refer to me by my new name and use the feminine pronoun, quote, or parentheses, except in official mail to the confinement facility. I look forward to receiving letters from supporters and having the opportunity to write back. Chelsea E. Manning. 888-589-8840. Let's real quickly try one more call before our next break. Tony in Texas, you're up next. Hi, Tony. Welcome. You're on with Calvin McCullough on AFA Today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. You sounded a lot better today. I'm glad your spirits are a little higher, and I don't know if it's the insanity of the world or what, but I grew up in all sorts of abuse, and I've tried so hard through all these years to keep my sanity, and now it seems like the current administration wants almost everybody to lose their mind, and this current case is crazy. if they could change it to where a man that wants to be a woman had to go through what real women go through on a monthly basis, I don't think they'd want to play dress up anymore. Anybody can play dress up. And what the media and everybody is complicit in is forcing through political correctness and the way they bias the stories. Oh, 90% of Americans want gay marriage. No, they don't. You're lying. They want forced validation. They don't want equal rights because they all have equal rights. We all have civil rights. What they want is the forced validation.
Mm-hmm.
And what pedophiles do is they gain trust and they start desensitizing their victims. And that's what the media is also complicit in. And this Bradley Manning thing, this is crazy. There's no way my tax dollars should pay for this.
But what's weird about it, though, Tony, and I thank you for your comments and your call, what's weird about it is that they're having just this, discussion over coffee on the Today Show. It's just like you're having your morning Cheerios, you're drinking a cup of coffee, guy comes on and goes, yeah, the traitor that betrayed the country, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's going to Fort Leavenworth. He wants sex change. And if the nation doesn't give it to him, we'll sue. We'll sue to make it happen. No big deal. But back to your Cheerios. And I'm just going, wait a minute. Are we that far down the rabbit hole? Is it that far gone? 888-589-8840 if you want to talk to me. If you'd like to leave a message for the Coombs Law Firm, 508-689-4616, and ask them, please, don't go forward with this plan to sue the U.S. for Bradley Manning's sex change operation. 508-689-4616. I'm Calvin McCullough. This is AFA Today.